The advent of birth control pill gave rise to sexual revolution in the 1960s and the 1980s. Sex began to be viewed as this physical activity that could be performed outside the confines of marriage, and the narrative that casual sex had no emotional toll on your psyche as a human being became fairly popularized. Let's fast forward to 2023. In the West, we currently have a divorce rate of 50%. Nearly half the marriages fail in the West. As a repercussion of this failed marriage, the child is usually raised by a single parent. And this single parent is typically the mother. In an overwhelming majority of cases, the custody of the child is given to the mother. Stats show that currently 1 in 5 children are being raised without fathers. Now let's begin to connect the dots and ask ourselves the following questions. What are the factors that exacerbate the possibility of divorce? And what is so wrong with a child being raised by a single mother? After all, they seem quite harmless. But the devil lies in the details. Studies show that there's a strong correlation between having multiple sexual partners and the possibility of having a divorce and having an unhappy marriage. It shows that once you go beyond a certain number of sexual partners, the possibility of divorce skyrockets. The more number of sexual partners a woman has before her marriage, the less happier she is likely to be with her marital life. So this answers the very first question. Divorce and quality of marital life is heavily linked to casual sex with multiple individuals. Now let's try to answer the next question. What is so wrong about a child being raised by a single mother? Well, the statistics show that children brought up in a single parent home are 10 times more likely to abuse substances, 14 times more likely to commit rape, 20 times more likely to end up in prison, 32 times more likely to run from home, 5 times more likely to commit suicide, and 9 times more likely to drop out from high school. The strongest predictor that a person will end up in prison is that if they are raised by a single parent. Let that sink in for a moment. The number of kids who are being raised by single mothers is increasing. And kids who are usually raised by single mothers have a lot of self-destructive tendencies and are detrimental to the society that they live in. It's simple maths. It's not rocket science. What causes more single mothers? It's typically divorces, the family unit breaking down. And what causes more divorces? Casual sex, having more sexual partners. There's no question that it destroys your ability to pair bond with one person, and it leads to an unhappier marriage. Now, of course, those who indulge in these behaviors will always defend these behaviors because these are highly rewarding behaviors, and they will try to undermine the repercussions of these behaviors. However, the stats lay down a very clear picture that these behaviors are detrimental to society, especially in the long run, and we're seeing this propagate in the West. So the casual sex apologists will come at me and they will say things like, abortion can help, birth control can help. So let's take a deeper look into their claims. Abortion itself is linked with greater increase in mental illness of women. There are stats, Google it up. There's a strong correlation between having abortions and being depressed and having anxiety, etc., etc. Number 2, birth control. It messes up your hormonal profile. Check out this study. It's called the sweaty t-shirt study. It alters the mate selection for women. So they typically do not pick the right mates. It's a really, really interesting study. Apart from that, there are a bunch of other side effects of these things. Additionally, what they are trying to pretty much do is try to remove all the repercussions of having casual sex. But they're failing. You can't remove the repercussions of having casual sex. It doesn't work that way. You can't have your cake and eat it too. No matter how much you try. It's like trying to put band-aids on a gunshot wound. Even since the advent of abortions and birth control pills, the number of kids who are raised by single mothers has only increased as time has went on. So the solutions you're offering, they're not working. They don't work. It's funny how nearly everything that religion restricts is somehow detrimental to human societies in the long run. Like, religion solved this problem of kids being raised by single parents or people losing their ability to pair bond and generally being miserable and depressed by strongly restricting casual sex or sex outside the confines of marriage. And it makes perfect sense as to why it was restricted. Hindsight is 2020 vision.